Clinton, it's really great to see you. Thank you so much for having us down. You boxed in a very different time. I was going through some research yesterday. How good were your boxing days? Were they the best days of your life?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I just, I look back and I think that was my time. I just loved to box.
I mean, looking at your record, you were fighting so frequently, sometimes every couple of weeks, sometimes every month. Was it a hard life though?
I enjoyed it. I know it doesn't sound, but it's what I wanted to do, and it's something that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed it at the time. I was young, fresh. I just wanted to box. That's all I wanted to do.
Did it feel relentless that you were fighting so often? Did it feel like you were on a treadmill of fights and training and fights and training?
Do you know what? When I think back, I don't even think about it. I just like I said, it was a time in my life I just wanted to do it. I mean, there came a time when I thought, I started to think about it. But when I was 25, 26, 27, up about 28, I just wanted to get in the ring. It was like a drug to me. I just wanted to get in the ring. Just loved it. Loved being fit. I loved boxing. I just wanted to fight.
Did you live from paycheck to paycheck? Did you get a paycheck, spend it all?
Absolutely.
Fight again, spend it all?
Fight, spend it, and then back in the ring, yeah. I think that's my buzz. I think that's probably what kept me going because, I fight and spend it, and I think, I've got to pay a bill next week. So, back in the ring again. Yeah. But, those I did enjoy it. I did. Funny, when I think back, it was something that I wanted to do. It was that badly that I wanted to do it that badly that I knew it was going to make me a living, it was going to make me famous, and I wanted it all.
Some people will hear that you're a southpaw and instantly think of Pernell Whitaker and those sweet left-handers. You liked to war. You weren't your archetypal southpaw, slipping, ducking, diving. You actually went and had it out. And going through the research yesterday, you had several Fight of the Year contenders, several Fight of the Years, and were in some wild, wild wars.
Yeah, I mean, my wars were very personal stuff, and Powers, Morrison, Mitty, they were personal stuff, and these guys, they wanted to beat me, and I wanted to beat them. It was nothing. It was just personal. We didn't actually hate one another, but we just wanted to prove who the best one was, and I wanted to prove I was the best, and they wanted to prove they were the best. But I knew I was going to be king. I wanted to fight them all.
Were you a warrior by design? Did you have a tear up because you needed to feel that excitement, or was that how you were taught to box? Because, like I said, quite often, if you're a southpaw, you're taught to be slightly negative, a bit of a move.
That's right. Yeah. No, I was taught to box. I knew how to box. I mean, if I could box if I wanted to, but I think in my earlier career, I thought I boxed more than I actually fought. As I got older, I think then I fought more than I actually boxed. But I just loved that feeling of being in the ring and performing.
You were born in Jamaica.
That's correct.
Do you have any early memories of that?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
What was it like in Jamaica?
Beautiful.
Have you been back many times since?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't had the opportunity to go back too many times since. But I have been back. Jamaica is a beautiful country for, sightseeing and, going in a river. I remember going in a river, climbing the hills, things like that, yeah. I had some hard times in Jamaica as a young kid.
Such as?
Well, my parents came to England and I sort of missed them. Me and my brother Winston, we were in Jamaica at the time and they came here. So I sort of missed my parents at the time, but I was staying with my grandma, and she was looking after us. And we had some hard times, but I think when I look back on it, I was always competitive in a lot of ways because I think I had to survive in certain times growing up in Jamaica.
And I remember reading when you came over to England, one of your first memories was seeing snow for the first time.
Oh, I was petrified. Honestly, I was absolutely petrified. I couldn't believe all this white stuff was coming. I thought it was the end of the world. I really did. I've never seen anything so terrifying. I remember running under the bed and hiding, and my dad saying, "It's all right, come out," and I didn't want didn't want to look. And then after a while, he taught me, you know, come out, and he brought me outside and showed me that it wasn't going to hurt me, and I picked it up and he felt it, and it was wet and mushy. Still didn't like it, but you know, that's the way it goes.
Duke told me that your dad was a hard man, and he was hard with you guys. Did you get off easier being the eldest, or were you actually made an example of?
I think I was made an example of. Yeah, he was more stern with me. He was strict, and he's to his word, you know. And I sort of listened to what he had to say, and you know, if he said something, you do it. It's just the way he is. But he was an old-fashioned sort of love. You know, he loved us all and in his own way, but he just didn't know how to portray that.
Yeah, Duke was very clear on that. It was tough love, and it was teaching you right from wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
If you fell out of line, you got disciplined.
Yeah, we got disciplined. Yeah, and we, you know, I think we respected that. We did respect that.
What was the worst beating you ever got?
Well, I can't remember. I got so many.
So, but do you think you being the first in line?
Yeah.
Then, do you think if you took a beating, then it kind of fed down through the others, and then by the time it obviously got to Duke and Dudley down the other end, and they were like, "No, okay, we won't do that."
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, but I think in those days it was accepted. You know, it was just something that they did, and we sort of took note to that. But I think as we got older, we realised that wasn't appropriate. That you couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So that sort of gradually went out the window. You know,
like I said, Duke was very strong about it being character building, and that it did teach you right from wrong and good.
Well, I think it did character build us, yeah, because you know, he said, like, if you got in trouble at school, don't come home. Don't let me find out about it. Don't let me find out about that. So you had to behave yourself. So we all had our own sort of ways of sort of dealing with it.
And then I did hear that you were the one who actually said enough's enough and stood up to your dad.
Yeah, one day I did. I said, like, you know, just got to stop. You know, you can't hit me no more. You know, that's it. So I think he sort of looked me in the eye and I went, sort of, yeah, all right.
And that was that.
That was that, yeah.
And I think the others got off as a consequence as well, once you'd sort of broken the mould.
I presume so, yeah. I think that's how it went. Yeah.
Was it tough coming over to England and starting anew? You know, I think, how old were you, 7, 9?
I was 7.
So
I think was
it tough to adapt, not just the snow and stuff, but they're generally tough to adapt culturally?
Well, culturally, yeah, because, you know, it was a different country, different people, and I suppose it took a while to sort of obviously adjust. And it was hard at school. I'm one of the most cleverest kids at school, so that was hard. So, you know, that's why when I discovered boxing, that became my salvation.
So you were the first of the brothers to go to the gym. How did that come about? Why did you very first go to the gym?
Well, I was spotted at school because they did boxing in schools in them days, and my sports teacher said, like, let's do boxing for the sports day. So I said, yeah, we'll try that out. And then he realised I had a bit of talent because I was moving and dropping my hands and, you know, showing off and doing the business. So he told my dad, and then that's when, after that, we got introduced to an amateur boxing club.
Were you a southpaw at the start?
Always a southpaw, always. They tried to turn me around, but I wouldn't have it.
It's quite good that you were naturally good and obviously doing the stuff, you know, dropping your hands and moving and all the rest of it, all the stuff that takes years to learn.
But it didn't continue like that. I soon learned to get my hands up, you know, because although dropping your hands is a skill and it works for some fighters, but it didn't work for me it worked for me for a while, but I realised that I was better with my hands up.
Who got in the most trouble out of you lot as boys?
Winston.
Straight answer.
Yeah,
wait for me to ask that.
My brother Winston, right? He's what you call the black sheep of the family. He was so bad. He would do, you know, he'd do everything, you know. And
what, nasty or naughty?
Naughty, just naughty. You know, he'd come home late from school. He'd run away sometimes. He'll be bad around the table. He was just one of those guys that just wouldn't do as he's told. Do you know what I mean? And the old man used to just look at him like that, with a fuming sometimes. He just wouldn't care, you know.
I
Winston.
can't imagine anyone actually pushing the limits with your dad.
He
But
did.
he did. He did. He pushed it.
Yeah, he pushed the limit, yeah.
As a youngster, who was the best boxer in the family?
Well,
I know there's obviously years between you, but in terms of amateurs, who showed the most potential coming through?
I think my brother Dudley, as you know, I think he was the best of us in terms of boxing.
Was he southpaw?
He was a southpaw, 6 foot,
and again,
brilliant
natural,
boxer,
everything natural.
Middleweight, brilliant boxer. Could box, he could box. He was beautiful. He really was.
You've obviously dumped everything on Winston there and said he was the naughtiest. Were you naughty at all?
No, I wouldn't say I was naughty. I mean, I had my moments, yeah. But I suppose I was the oldest, so I had to say I had a discipline. I was the one that everybody looked up to. So I more or less sort of did things accordingly, you know, in order. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But I wouldn't say I was a bad lad, you know.
Do you remember your first amateur fight?
Yes, I do. Going back, I do remember. I lost my first amateur fight.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, close one. Another little war, I remember. But I lost it, but it didn't put me off. I just wanted to get back in the ring again.
And, you know, you were obviously a highly successful amateur. We see up there on the wall, Montreal 1976 Olympics. Before then, you won the ABAs, haven't you?
That's right, yeah. The ABAs, loved that moment in my time in my life. ABAs was a good, it was a very good time of my coming up into like being international stardom. And the ABA was a great way of identifying myself as a real contender.
Because it was a different platform back then, wasn't it? The ABAs was big news.
Oh yeah, if you win the ABAs, that was very big news.
Because it was on TV and in the papers and all the rest.
Exactly, and you get chosen to call up for England, and your career sort of more or less took off from there.
And then, you know, obviously I mentioned 76 Olympics, but you going actually wasn't a given, even though you were in many ways the best.
Why is it so hard for me? Yeah.
Yeah, no. So even though you were the best at the weight and people saw you as the best of the weight, there was a challenge, wasn't there, about
Chris Davis.
Chris Davis.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
And so you nearly didn't go.
Listen, I was where is it? I think I was doing a job at the time. Can't remember exactly what job I was doing, but anyway, it came over on the radio. They read out the team. And I'm sitting there listening to the radio. Wow, can't wait for my name to come in. And then like they've gone like word to word, Chris Davis. What? Can't hear that. Did I hear that right? Yeah. Chris Davis has been chosen to go to the Olympics instead of me. Now don't forget, I've won the ABA. I boxed for England. I boxed against the Americans and beat them. And like I was the prime man to go to the Olympics. Chris Davis got chosen. How the hell did he get chosen? I don't know.
Well, wasn't his dad the head of the Welsh ABA?
That's right, exactly, yeah.
And so there was a lot of, obviously, talk about nepotism and favouritism.
I think that came into it, that's right.
But then you threatened to go and fight for Jamaica, and that changed. Kevin Hickey got on board and all the rest of it.
That's right,
Tell me what happened.
They all got on board. Kevin Hickey got on board and he put his neck on the line because he said that this man's the best boxer in England and he's proved it. And, you know, he's boxed for England. He said, if you don't choose him, he said, I'll give up I'll resign. And I think that was it. They just said, like, yeah, this is the man, he's got to go. So justice was done in the end.
Would you have boxed for Jamaica if you hadn't got picked for England?
Well, Olympics was my dream. So I would have boxed, yeah. Of course. I would have done anything. You know, Olympics was my ultimate dream as an amateur, to box in the Olympic Games. I wasn't going to turn that down.
You mentioned that you'd already fought for England there. One of the guys you fought against for America was Ronnie Shields, wasn't it?
Ronnie Shields, yeah.
He became a top trainer.
That's right, yeah.
What happened in that fight?
Well, it was at Royal Albert Hall. It was a good fight. He was, you know, a good fighter at the time, and I beat him. That was one of my best performances as an amateur. I think that was my selection to go to the Olympics. I think that win really put me up there.
Going out there, in 1976 to Montreal, Olympic Village, all the rest of it. What was that like? Was that a mind-blowing experience?
Oh, absolutely. Hey, listen, I was in Olympic Games. My dream had come true. I'd gone and boxed for England. I'm at the Olympics again. I can't believe it. Well, yeah, I can believe it. This is what I planned in my sleep, my dream, and everything I ever planned for. And it's come true. I was there at the Olympics, and, you know, it was like a dream. I just thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it.
Did you know there was someone in your weight class in the draw with you called Sugar Ray Leonard?
Absolutely.
You knew all about him before you went out there?
Don't worry, I knew all about Sugar Ray. And I remember at the time there was a whisper going around where we were staying around town. There was a whisper, like a scary whisper about this brilliant boxer, how he can move and float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. And he was like superb. And I was thinking, who's this guy? And you know, it's funny, they say, yeah, this guy's like really good. It's called Sugar Ray. So a name like that, it's got to be good. You know what I mean?
I wonder what weight he is.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, obviously it was my weight, and I thought, wow, I'm going to meet him.
So did you, when going out there knowing who he was, did you think that you guys would meet at whatever stage it was? Did you think it was going to be down to you and him?
No.
No. So you didn't, but you knew he was the man to beat.
I knew he was the man to beat, but I didn't know it'd be down to me and him, because, you know.
And then in 1976, obviously the Americans had that powerhouse of a team. So was it just Leonard that they were talking about, or were they all talking about the Spinks brothers, Howard Davis, and all that?
Yeah, talking
Howard
about
Davis got the Val Barker. Didn't
they were talking about other fighters. Howard Davis Jr. I think they were talking about, because I think he was a bit special. He was very good. I saw him box a few times, and he was very good. But my mind was just fixed on the Sugar Ray. Yeah. You know, who was this Sugar Ray? All right, so time for us to fight now. Nerves were killing me. I thought, this is the first time I've actually seen him. So it comes to the night we're going to fight. And I remember walking down the hallway, and he was on the other side. And I caught a glimpse of him. I tell everybody this. I caught a glimpse of him shadowboxing and giving it all that, shuffling, throwing his punches. And I just looked over and I just shook my head. I went, F it out. I went, oh my God, like that. But as soon as I said that, my mind just sort of clicked. I thought, yeah, well, this is it now. You'll give it your best shot.
So you met Ray in the quarterfinals. You'd beaten the Italian and the Puerto Rican by that stage.
Yeah. So
you sort of earned your stripes.
Well, I established myself as a real contender. And I was good enough to fight Sugar Ray. I met him in my third fight, I think, yeah? And if I remember correctly, the first round, I was a little bit shy, you know, didn't really want to go in there and go after him. So I believe I gave the best performance I could give at the time.
When you say that at the start, going out there for the first round, it's almost like you're about to say you think you showed him a bit too much respect. Yeah, I did.
I showed him a bit too much respect. I should have jumped all over him.
Yeah. So was it the occasion, or was it the fact it was this great potential superstar?
I think I let it get to my head a little bit. Yeah. I think I believed. I didn't believe in myself. I knew I was going to give a good performance, but I didn't give it 100%. That I could be, I could be.
What did it mean to your dad that you gone over and fought in the Olympics?
He was so proud. He was absolutely over the moon. You know, he was like very, very proud. You know, couldn't praise me enough, and you know, he was very, very pleased. Yeah.
And then obviously you took the other brothers to the gym. They followed you. And was that something you proactively did? Did you say, come on, I'm going to train, and you lot just follow me, or what was it?
It just happened naturally. They just wanted to do what I was doing. And they were all very good at it. You know, I remember Duke, my dad wouldn't let him because Duke was just very skinny, very frail. And my dad said, no, you're not boxing, you get hurt. So I sort of convinced my dad that, give him a shot. You know, let him go to the gym.
At least have a chance to defend himself.
Yeah, that's right. He did, and as you know, Duke turned out to be absolutely amazing. What he did, 3-time world champion.
3-weight world champ. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
By the way, just going back to Leonard, I'm guessing with the high praise that you've bestowed upon him, you knew that he was going to turn out to be extraordinarily special.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, on the night that I boxed him, I mean, I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was that good.
I love it. I love the fact you can almost only laugh about it now.
Yeah.
He's that good.
I thought, oh my God. But, I sort of mirrored him. I saw the way he was moving, the punches he was throwing. And, I learned a lot from that fight. I really did.
When you turned pro, was the ambition to be a world champion?
That was my ambition, yeah.
And you aligned yourself with George Francis and Mickey Duff?
That's right, exactly, yeah.
Why did you pick those guys?
Well, they were the top promoters and trainers at the time. And I think George was training John Conte at the time. And I was an admirer of Conte. And I remember Conte coming to my house to see me and talking to him. And George became my trainer then.
George did a lot for the progression of black fighters.
He did, yeah. That's right, he did, yeah.
Had you experienced any kind of racism since you've been in the UK? Duke said that he never did, but obviously you were around before him.
Yeah, I mean, racism was always been there, but I never recognised it as something that's going to hold me back. I know that maybe there were times that I should have got more money, I should be more publicised, I should have been this and that, but it never really happened. But I didn't use that as a weapon. I just wanted to get to the top.
Yeah, because I suppose with an American analogy, I can't remember who said it about Marvin Hagler, but you had the same 3 strikes. You were gifted southpaw and black.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, that's right, I was. I had all those things what should have made me a top entertainer. But somehow it just I didn't really break through.
In terms of racism, were there examples of you ever getting racist abuse down the line years ago?
No, I never got really racist abuse. If I did, I never really took much notice of it at the time.
It was more institutional.
Yes, more institutional, yeah, that's right. It was never on the open,
You won 4 on the bounce before you were upset by Colin Powers in 2 rounds. I know we'll probably talk about Colin a little bit here, but why did things go wrong that night? Looking back, you guys have fought, I think, 3 times in the amateurs.
That's right, yeah.
And then he turned pro, I think, a year or so ahead of you.
That's
so he
right.
had about 10 or 15 fights in the bank.
Yeah.
You'd had 4. Was that the experience? He stopped you in 2 rounds?
That's right. But I think because my amateur record was so outstanding, I'd won my 4 fights, yeah. So my handlers at the time thought, we'll take this fight against, fast track, yeah. And I thought, I'll do this guy. I've done him before, I'll do it again. And it was at lightweight. Apparently, it was at lightweight. So I had to shed a few pounds. I was like welterweight, but I had to shed a few pounds.
Right. And
those few pounds did have an effect on me. They definitely had an effect on me. But I remember getting in the ring with him. I think it was at the Angelo Sporting Club the first time I fought him. And I wasn't at my strongest. I remember the day I wasn't at my strongest, but I thought I'd have enough in it to beat him. But I remember coming out the first round, I didn't feel great. And the second round, everything just went. I mean, Colin caught me with a good left hook. And that was it. I saw the ground and that was it. I beat the count, but I wasn't in a state of fit mind to continue. So
you're boxing in an era here now where a loss isn't the hammer blow that it is today as well. You can come back in a few weeks.
Yes, that's right. I mean, I lost that fight and it did damage my ego.
Yeah. Cool. And then, because obviously we talked about a little bit about the rivalry there. You'd fought in the amateurs. You obviously now kicking off the pros against.
That's right. Yeah.
He actually commented that he'd spoken to Vic Andretti, who he was with, and said, "When I turned pro, I actually wanted Clinton."
That's
from
right.
The start. So it was a bit of a personal.
Yeah, it was.
There.
Listen, it was so personal. It was so I can't. If you could taste it, you could. But between me and Colin, there was this personal vendetta. I wanted to get him, and he wanted to get me.
But not in a malicious grudge way. Is
No.
this what you're trying to say? It was just about trying to see who's the best.
Who's the best?
Yeah.
He wanted to prove he was the best. And I always said to myself that he's not going to beat me. That's what I kept telling myself.
And then he beat you again.
And then he beat me again.
But you
thought, no.
You lost him in the rematch over 15 rounds.
Yeah.
What was it? Did you think he had your number, or did you think you deserved to win that fight?
No, I think I deserved to win that fight. It was very close. But I think I won by 2 rounds, easily. But the referee saw it differently. It was a great fight. And I remember, sort of being on the ropes, and he was teeing off of me and I was teeing off of him, and, he wouldn't go, but I wanted to beat him so badly. And he, obviously the same with me, I mean, these rounds went on for like 15 rounds, toe to toe.
Yeah, sure. It was, one thing I couldn't get my head around in the research was your fight with Bruce Curry.
Okay.
Over in the States, which was on the undercard of what was due to be Mike Rossman fighting Victor Galindez.
That's right, yeah. 2
superb light heavyweights.
Yeah.
So I'd seen you in an interview talk about this, and I didn't quite believe it. Now I've just gone and read it in black and white. It said you arrived in Las Vegas at 12:30 a.m. at night.
That's right.
You weighed in at 5:30 a.m.
Yes.
5 hours later, because that's when Galindez wanted to weigh in.
That's right.
And you fought that night.
That's right.
The same day you landed in Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
same day I landed, yeah.
Mental.
I remember I was jet lagged, I was tired, I wanted to sleep, but I had to fight. How I got through that, I don't know. But obviously I was so fit. I mean, that's the only thing I think that's brought me through that.
You must have been on almost some sort of autopilot.
I was an autopilot. But I was jet lagged. I couldn't move.
How come that fight even came about? Do you remember? Because surely you didn't have 5 weeks notice and just
no,
the day
I
before.
didn't. Mickey Dove just told me I got a big fight for you in America. Do you want it or not? Yeah, I would take it if I was you, lad.
You fought the day you landed.
So
was it one straight flight to Vegas, or did you have to change?
No, it was one straight flight, I remember.
At least that, yeah.
And I thought, at least I got that. But, I remember getting off the plane, and I was like, just jet lagged, tired. I had to go and weigh in. I couldn't believe it. But, I had a good fight.
Yeah, Boxing News said you boxed very well, and then, you were boxing on the retreat in the second half, but I guess you just had to do what you had to do.
Yeah, I had to. I just had to survive.
What was particularly outrageous about that whole thing was Galindez-Rossman didn't even happen.
No, it didn't.
There was some sort of
That's
argument,
right.
And I think Galindez was waiting in the ring, and Rossman didn't even
It
go
didn't
in
turn
there.
up, yeah. That was a big...
That's boxing, in a nutshell.
That is boxing for you, yeah. But, what excitement. There's always drama when I'm around.
Did you fly back from Vegas the next day, or did you stay out there?
I can't remember. I think I came out more or less the next day, yeah.
Jeez.
I was the day after I came back.
That's just crazy.
Something like that, yeah.
You fought for the Commonwealth title in Nigeria. You lost what Boxing News called was a brutal 15-round fight. What do you remember of, is it Abisia Nwankpa?
No, yeah. What a fight. That was a terrific 15 round in this heat. The only time I ever felt the heat, I'll come to that later on, but the heat in Nigeria was so hot. I remember, there was no air conditioning, there was nothing. It was just like in this big hall, and I think it was like a barn, I remember vaguely that. But we had 15 rounds, just me and him, and it was like war. I'm sure I won the fight, but they gave it to him, on decision. But it was a great fight. Great fight. It's one of my fights that I would like to see again. I don't know how to get the video of that or anything like that, but I'd love to get that fight again because I love to see it. Yeah. It was a right ding dong.
How long were you in Nigeria for? I'm sure you didn't get there on the day as well.
It wasn't far off it. I think I was in Nigeria for about 2 weeks.
I know we're talking about some losses that you took here, but then you lost for the European title in Italy against Giuseppe Martinez.
Yeah.
You're not getting any favours here. You're going everywhere. You're going to America for Curry. You're going to Nigeria for Nwankpa. and you're going to Italy for the European title.
European title, yeah.
Like, why is this? Is this partly going back to where we said before, Southpaw, gifted and black, that no one's backing you here? Were you not a ticket seller? Is it just...
Well, I wasn't a ticket seller, and I think I just had to take my chances where I could, because I wasn't promoted. I think if I was promoted correctly, I think I would have been out there, you know, people would have come and seen me. And although I was on BBC TV and I just didn't get the backing that I needed at the time. But that European title fight, I just wasn't right for that at all. I just felt jet lag and not right.
There was, around this time, people were questioning your stamina. Saying, do you remember that?
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
They were saying that you maybe had stamina issues.
That's right.
Was that an issue, or was it to do with you being on the road and
just
getting late gigs and stuff?
It was never my stamina issue. My stamina was always intact. It's just that I wasn't preparing properly and the situation wasn't right for me at the time. But and I proved that the way along the line that those fights that I lost, there was always some sort of issue.
Were you a party guy? Were you out in between fights?
Was I
a party guy?
No, I lived for boxing.
Did you?
I lived for it. Don't get me wrong, I had my good times, but when I was fighting, I just knew I had to do what I needed to do because it was my life and I made it strictly, this is what I did.
I suppose, as we touched upon, you were so active that you never, you were either fighting or training, and that was it, or going to a fight.
Yeah, I didn't have time to go out for a party. I didn't have time to do all that.
Did you make up for it later on?
Oh, definitely. I made up for it later on, yeah. That's right.
You had a couple of fights with Dez Morrison.
Dez, listen, we've got to talk about Dez. I fought him twice. In a 10-rounder, and I fought him in the 15-rounder for the British title. But I remember Dez, that was another personal thing. Dez was an established fighter, very established, and, he'd fought a lot of guys and, beaten them, and, but he wanted to beat me. And I was thinking to myself, I was watching him on TV when he first won the title. And I thought, no, he ain't going to beat me. He's getting on a bit now. He can't beat me. So it was, although me and Dez never spoke to one another, but it was personal. He wanted to beat me. And I knew I wasn't going to let him beat me. Because, I was up and coming, he'd been there, he'd done it, and he'd proven himself to be a good, outstanding boxer, Dez. And I respected him. I really respected him. I thought, yeah, he's all right, he's a good fighter. And I remember fighting him in a 10-rounder, and then I fought him for the British title, which was a ding-dong. That was a fight of the year as well.
Yeah, you stopped him in the 14th round.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And that won you the Lonsdale belt outright.
That's right, yeah. Me and Dez went toe-to-toe, I know, and he hit me some good shots, and I hit him some good shots. He took my best shots, and I was just saying to myself, there's one stage of the fight when I was like on the ropes, and I was like, I remember putting my hands up like that, and it's like, and the bell went. And I remember going to myself, great. And I sort of got back to the corner and sort of got my energy back and went out and did the business on him.
Yeah. So obviously that won you the Lonsdale belt outright, but then you beat your Olympic teammate and friend, Sylvester Mitton.
Oh, Sylvester.
So were you guys tight from the Olympics? Were you friends?
Yeah, we were friends, yeah. Me and Sylvester, we get on, have a chat, have a laugh, And
so was that hard, or are you thinking we're just going to make good money against each other?
No. We knew that what we wanted to do was prove who the best one was. And we knew that at the time.
Had you sparred a lot?
We didn't spar an awful lot, no. We didn't spar an awful lot. I sparred him in the Olympics. But when it came to fighting him, we just put everything aside and went for it, to prove who was the best light welterweight, which I came out for, obviously the best light welterweight. But Sylvester gave it all he could. I remember Sylvester hit me so hard, I saw 4 of him.
Which one did you hit?
Which one did he hit? I remember coming out the first round, and he'd come out and he'd hit me with his left hand, boom, over the top. Honestly, I actually saw like 4 of him. He doesn't know this.
It's easy to look back and say, this was when boxing was boxing, it was hard and all the rest of it. But looking back through the archive yesterday, I looked at the Boxing News for that fight. You were on the cover of Boxing News. It said, C is for Clinton, C is for courage. And then it said that you would have earned the Victoria Cross for your bravery in that fight, which shows exactly, it was that we're talking about epic fights, real battles.
Exactly. I mean, Sylvester, listen, he'd beaten Powers. He broke his nose. He'd beaten him up. And he's beaten Dez Morrison. Listen, Sylvester was the hardest puncher in the division. They didn't call him the Brown Bomber for nothing. And he knocked everybody out. Everybody I fought, he knocked them out. So, obviously, to the public and the journalists, he was going to do the same to me.
My heart went out to you when I read this because it touched upon the stuff that we already talked about. Boxing News said you deserve to be earning far more than you were for fighting the likes of Power, Dez Morrison and Sylvester Mitty, which is hard because obviously we're going back to the gifted southpaw black thing.
Yeah.
You were given so much, but you weren't getting much back for it.
No.
Were you being given enough? Were you still thinking, I'm doing all right, I'm enjoying life? Or were you thinking, I'm actually putting a lot into this and I'm not getting what I should get?
That was the time I did think that. I think I need to be paid for this. I'm not, the fights were starting to get to me now, and now I was starting to feel it. I was thinking, I need to get some money. I need to make up. I need to establish myself in this market. This boxing.
Can't keep having these wars.
No, that's when it started to hit me that I needed to make money.
And so happily, you went on the road again. And you won the European title against Spaniard Antonio Guinaldo.
That's right.
You were happy generally to fight people, and we touched upon it before we went on air. But you actually outboxed Guinaldo. You did something a bit different.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Guinaldo, I had gained a lot of experience by then, and I thought not so much of the fighting now. I started boxing a bit. And
you should have done that in the first place.
Well, yeah, but when you're young and you're hot. And
yeah, sure.
I think you just want to get that energy and do what you have to do.
And hey, you're getting all the respect for having these tear-ups. Boxing News have you on the cover every week saying, "Oh, he's won a war. It's a classic."
That's
right. All the rest of it. That's at the very least feeding your ego, even if it's not feeding your bank balance.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I love those. I used to love being on the front cover of Boxing News every bloody month.
Yeah.
That was me. It was great. But, I wasn't getting paid for my sacrifices. But at the end of the day, I started to realise that. And I think, obviously, I needed more money for the time.
And it was around this time where you boxed Steve Early, and I think it was Frank Warren's first televised promotion.
That's right, yeah.
So was this a jump for you from Duff to Warren?
Yeah, it was a big jump, yeah. It was a lot.
Did that end you on bad terms with Duff?
Yeah, it did. It was a bad time for me with Duff. There was a lot of controversy there with me moving over, and obviously he didn't like that. But I wasn't getting paid, so that's why I moved to Warren at the time. Yeah.
Boxing News said you were paid $7,500 for the early fight. And I listened to Frank recently talking about you and said that you remained friends to this day.
Yeah. I mean, I've got nothing against Frank because he gave me an opportunity sort of to make some money, which Frank was my first really big step up for money-wise.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that time.
It's astonishing to think that when we talked about all the fights that you've had already by this point, you're talking about a step up for cash here.
Yeah.
It's it's hard for me to get my head around when you see what so many fighters have so young.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Anyway, you lost back-to-back fights with Robert Gambini and Ernest Bing. They were both by disqualification for low blows.
That's right.
Were you a dirty fighter?
No, by far.
You say that smiling, but go on. So what happened? Because to lose back-to-back fights by disqualification, I think 1 round and 2 rounds as well.
Yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah,
I
think what it was, I changed trainers and I adapted a style that was not me.
Okay.
And my punches were going low because I adapted. I tried to change my style.
So you left George.
Yeah, I left George.
And
yeah.
who were you with?
I was with my ex-father-in-law,
Okay.
Fredericks, his name was. He's not around now. He's passed away. God bless him. But he was very, very close to me, and he took me on, and we adapted a style that was really me. So when I used that style, it had consequences that cost me those fights.
And losing back-to-back fights by disqualification, how did that affect your reputation?
Obviously, I was very disappointed with my performances at the time, and I wasn't very pleased with how I was performing, and it was just unfortunate.
Did you take a lot of flack for it?
Not really, no, I didn't, because I think the general people that know me know that I'm not a dirty fighter, and it was accidental. Those fight shots were accidental.
You boxed Sammy Young in Atlantic City, and interesting little note here was that Duke boxed on the same bill.
That's right.
Did you like that? The fact that he'd gone over with you, or
loved
did that
it.
make you more nervous?
No, well, I loved it because we were both brothers, and I remember we were in the hotel together and we were having a good time, and we were boxing on the same bill, and Duke was just up and coming then, and I thoroughly enjoyed that experience. That was a great time for us. Me and Duke had a good laugh over there.
Did you get more nervous for his fights than your fights? I've heard brothers say
No,
that
not really. I never got nervous for Duke because I knew he could box.
Yeah.
And I knew he could box. You know what? I remember sparring with Duke at one time, and I was sparring with him, and he used to hit me with this little body shot just right there. It's like a pin sticking in. Thinking, where's that come from? I thought, so yeah.
What was he hitting you with, the jab or the right hand?
Right hand to the body.
Okay.
It was a very, very good shot. Yeah, I remember that. I'll never forget it.
Always interesting when you start to think about that. You think about the dynamics of you obviously leading with the right hand, and leaving that little gap
That's right,
to stick it in. Then you beat Brett Lally in London. Muhammad Ali was there.
Yeah, no, listen, that was a moment. Brett Lally was a tough opponent. I remember he had me down in the second round. I thought, because Duff rang me up and said, I've got a fight for you from America, like this guy, Brett Lally. He said to me, you beat me easy. I said, all right, we'll take the fight. So I think that was at Angelo Sporting Club as well. But I remember this kid, it was really, really tough. But I remember he put me down in the second round. I thought, gee, Ali's there and this guy's put me down. I can't believe it. But it was a great fight. It was a 10-rounder and it was a very, very good fight. I mean, I ended up nearly stopping him, but I beat him in the end.
Did you meet Ali that night?
Do you know what? This is one thing I will tell everyone about this. I do regret this. For the rest of my life, I will always regret it because it was a great performance. I was in the middle of the ring and I was going to take the microphone and ask him then, Muhammad Ali, I was going to ask him, what did you think of me? I didn't do it. And I will always regret that. That was my moment of addressing the great man.
Yeah. And that was it?
And that was it.
So you didn't see him apart from that?
I didn't see him apart from that. But that was my moment. That was my moment I will always regret.
Another hard fight followed. Terry Marsh, 12 hard rounds, Boxing News headline, what a war. Clinton plays his part in a classic encounter. So Terry Marsh never lost a fight, became a world champion, I think made one defense, didn't fight again.
Sure.
You gave him all that he could handle.
That's right, yeah.
Was it tough? Was it as tough as anything that you'd experienced?
Terry, yeah, he was, no, it's successful about Terry, right? I mean, we're totally different in appearance, right?
Yeah, I
forget about the colour and all that. One thing, I'm black, I'm muscly, I've got all the looks, and to look at us, you think, I'm the winner. And look at Terry, he's just like that. He's just skinny, white, got no muscle, like very thin face. I thought, that guy, I'm gonna walk through. He can't beat me. So I've got there with the attitude that I'm gonna walk through. The first 2 rounds, I thought, well, I'm just warming up. Third round, I've gone, all right, now I'm gonna start turning it on. So I started turning it on. I'm thinking, he's a good boxer. And I've hit him a few times, and I think, he's taking it. And I've got him close, and I've whacked him to belly, and I've heard him going, and I'm hitting him, and I'm thinking, what's he doing? He's still up. I can't believe it. So before I know where I was, he was picking up the points, and he's winning the fight. That was my lesson of like, don't underestimate someone by how they look.
Yeah, appearances and all the rest of it. We've seen that countless times. I mean, a famous one really subsequently was Joe Calzaghe and Jeff Lacey.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Lacey looked like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, exactly, But with Terry Marsh, enough respect, he won on the night and he boxed the right fight. Got on his left hand and boxed my ears off.
What a war. Doesn't sound like it.
Listen, the 12th round, he was out. He was out. If it was 15, it would have been a different story. But 12th round, he was out.
You fought Lloyd Christie and won a scrappy fight, then fought Tony Lang. You lost, and some people thought that would be it for you.
Yeah, well, with Lang, I wasn't... You know the story with Lang? I'll tell you the story with Lang. I had 2 weeks' notice. I was on holiday.
That's a lot for you. Oh, but if you're already on holiday, yeah.
Anyway, I was on holiday, right? I hadn't trained. I'd come back. I got a phone call. Then we got time fight. We got time fight for you. Now, remember, I've been out of the ring, 6 months? So I thought, you know what? I'll give it a shot. And I remember, I remember getting in the ring on that night, and I thought, if I can just get over 2 or 3 rounds, I'll be all right. How wrong I was. I got in there, shaped up, and I was trying to feel my way through, and then I could see the punches coming, but I couldn't move out of the way. I was slipping and swaying, and it was like they were coming to me on slow motion, but I couldn't get out of the way. Then one punch hit me, and that was it. I was gone.
Did you think after Tony Lang, did you think that was it after your first fight with him?
I did, yeah. I thought, that's it, I'm going to retire now.
But then he relinquished the title and you boxed Tony McKenzie, no relation. And then, so George Zeleny, my friend, who's written for Boxing News for years, he actually said it was an upset loss in a 10th. Is that right?
Say that again?
An upset loss in a 10th.
Yeah.
You guys fought in a 10th. What happened the night you fought Tony McKenzie?
I felt that night I was weight weakened. I wasn't myself. They called me with a good shot in the second round, I think it was, and I realised then I just didn't have the balance, the stability. That was it.
I mean, maybe things were catching up with you. You retired. You did retire after McKenzie.
I did, yeah.
After Tony, but then you came back 18 months later.
Yeah.
So why retire? I guess you retired because things didn't feel right, didn't feel normal.
Well, I didn't feel normal. I didn't feel right. Training was becoming a hard chore then. I started to realise that, I'd turn the alarm clock off in the morning. I didn't want to get up, that sort of thing. When a fighter knows he's coming to the end of the road, you hear the alarm clock in the morning, you knock it over, you go back to sleep again, shut up, go back to sleep. So you know that it's knocking, the time's coming for you to call it a day, because that
drive
and that passion that you had was not there. So that was the time of my life where I started to decide, well, this is it, my career is nearly over. And
then after 18 months, you did come back. You fought Chris Blake. Why come back?
Well,
was it a financial thing?
Yeah, it was financial, and I realised that I thought to myself, well, if I can make one last stand, just maybe I'll be able to do some, get some money and get myself out of the problems that I had. I had divorce, I lost my house, so I didn't have certain things to. I think boxing is the only way that I knew, only thing that I knew, and I thought, yeah, I'll try this again. And then you won the Southern Area title in your first fight back. Yeah, I remember training hard, getting myself together. I fought a guy called Mickey Dervin, I think his name was, for the Southern Area title. Well, no, that was even after you come back and you beat Ensley Bingham. You beat Bingham. Oh, that was after. That's right. Yeah, that was after. Yeah. So Bingham was, I think, 5-0 at the time. Yeah, he was. Memories of fighting Ensley, who went on to fight for world title. Yeah, no, he was like big shout. He was a guy that was knocking everyone over, and he was up and coming star, and you know. But I knew I had more experience. Then again, I started to box more then. I had more experience. I used my experience to beat him.
Boxing, you said headline was Clinton's quality show.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of experience. And also, I think you'd understood here as well by this point where you'd adapted your style. You couldn't be that aggressive southpaw slugger anymore.
Exactly.
You'd come back with a slightly different look.
I did, yeah. I knew these guys were younger, stronger, and fresher. So I had to adapt my style. I had to box them. I had to use my experience. And that's what I did. I used my experience to box them and not get involved in wars anymore.
And quite often when people come back, particularly if it's driven by money, sometimes they end in disaster. But you actually won the Lonsdale belt again.
Yes, that's right.
You beat Lloyd Christie, who you'd already beaten, and got your British title back.
That's right. And I retired undefeated.
as undefeated British champion.
Yeah, British champion,
there's a sting in the tail.
That's right, yeah, sting in the tail, yeah. But if you think about it, I retired undefeated British champion, which was, for me, was great because I was very proud of that British title. But beating Lloyd was great for me. But then again, I used my experience. I didn't get into a war. I boxed, you know, and I used that as a skill. I used all my skill to sort of get through it. But I knew he was younger and he was stronger, and he obviously wanted to knock me out.
We're talking about great sets of brothers here, aren't we? With the Langs, the Christies, the Mackenzies. Great era of family boxing, wasn't it?
Boxing family, yeah.
Your last fight, which we obviously need to talk about, it was over in Italy against Calamati.
Yes.
You were stopped. How did you feel over there? I think so. You've been how did you feel over in Italy fighting Calamati in that last fight? Did you go over there thinking, I'm going to win the European title and kick on, or did you think this is the last throw of the dice? If it doesn't work, I'm going to go to that's it.
That's it. Yeah, I thought I'd give it one last shot, try and get back what I had. But I think with Calamati, I realised that I didn't have that sparkle anymore. I knew that from the first round, that I didn't have that spark. I was still trying, but I had trouble making the weight. I wasn't myself, and I couldn't find that little bit of sparkle that I had to turn it on. I couldn't find it, and I knew then I could see his punches coming, but I couldn't get out of the way. So I knew it was time to call it though. I just knew. You
were being looked after at the time by Frank Maloney. He said he gave his all, it just wasn't there. That's right. Fair.
Exactly, yeah, I did. I tried, but it wasn't there.
You've been with Duff, Warren and Maloney. Did you have a favourite out of those guys?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say I had a favourite, no. They were just basically all the same, you know, and they tried their best, but it wasn't good enough.
That acceptance then, you obviously said it wasn't there anymore. How hard is that acceptance when you realise it's gone now?
I think it's very hard, but you have to accept it. Because I know that if you don't accept it, you're going to get hurt.
How long did it take for you to accept it though? Like in the weeks that passed, not on the night, because obviously in the ring where there's nowhere to hide and no excuses to hide behind, you have to hold your hands up. But when Monday comes round and you're like, I can't do that anymore, that's no longer an option. How hard's that?
That's very hard. In terms of like, what do I do? What do I do with my life? What do I do? That's the hardest thing I think boxers got to face. You know, he's got to go out and do something. He's got to become a part of society again. And but I think I was very lucky because the people I know and my family around me and things like that. And I'm always in and out of looking for something to do. And that's why the gyms have been a lifesaver for me, because it's a natural thing that I do. It's something I love as well, you know, and I love teaching, I love exercise. So it's put me in a good place.
Because you would have been almost one of the forerunners, really, with people who went into coaching keep fitters from boxing. You know, because a lot of boxers, retired boxers go into training boxers. Yeah. But you actually saw the market of boxercise and different things like that and started to build your reputation through that and train members of the public.
That's right. Which is very, very hard to do for a boxer, because like he's used to training training himself, but he's used to training boxers. But I think to sort of break into the public and enjoy that side of it is another challenge. I like challenges, and then I think I have a natural knack of, I like meeting people and I like to teach. That doesn't mean to say I'm not going to train a professional fighter. I think if one comes along, I would love to train a professional fighter, because that would really put my signature on everything. But I love what I do. I love what I do.
And you've met some interesting people along the way. Obviously, Fred Sierex, the chef, and Hugh, the newsreader.
Yeah.
Tell me about Fred, for instance, and your relationship with him. I heard that you guys spar in this ring and have in the past knocked 7 bells out of each other.
Well, yeah, I did when I was about 10 years younger.
So he's been here for a while then?
He's been here for a while, yeah. Fred, he started off, to cut a long story short, he came into like my old gym up the other end of the road, and we first met there, and he came in and he goes, "I want to box." I said, "How do you mean you want to box?" Because I want to learn, I want to spar, I want to do the lot, he said. I thought, this guy can't be real. He goes, "Yeah," and he goes, "I want to spar with you." He said, "Get yourself together, like, I want to really
get in shape."
Yeah, I thought, what's this guy talking about? Are you crazy? He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm going to spar with you." And, honestly, right, it become like an obsession, because, like, every Saturday you come down or get up, ready to spar. And I thought, this can't be real. This guy, he wants to knock me out. He wants to do something. He wants to prove me that he's... Anyway, we used to get in it, and I tell you, we had some right ding-dongs. And I remember one day, this one, actually, he's actually got this on YouTube or something, but he came in that ring and he went to town on me.
He stuck it on you?
Yeah. He actually stuck it on me. And I thought, hello. So listen, right? He'll tell you this, right? So anyway, I remember him throwing this right hand at me, and I thought, and I've ducked, and I've hit him one right at the belly. Whoa! And he's like, on the floor, boom! Oh, he's killed me. He's going, oh no! I thought I killed him. You know what I mean? But he took it well. He was out. That was it. But that sealed our relationship. That we become best of friends after that.
That's brilliant.
After that, we were like, buddies. You know what I mean?
That's brilliant. It's great to see you. It's great to have this chat and see you so content and everything, because you have been through some hard times. I did read in Boxer News that back in the day, your house got repossessed and different things like that. There must have been some really, did things been rougher than that, or was that as bad as things got for you?
Well, yeah, no, they were rough, man. I had repossession, bankruptcy, you name it, a lot. But, you don't give up. You just keep going and you come on and you get through it. Can't give up, man.
And I suppose, obviously, we do need to speak about Dudley, who took his own life. You say you've been through some hardships, and obviously those things have happened to you. How big was the loss of Dudley to you? Because to Duke, Dudley was his idol.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously Dudley looked up to you.
Yeah.
So how was it to lose someone who looked up to you and to lose a brother?
Well, I can't explain it. If you lose any member of your family, it's very, very sad. Dudley was a very, very, very personal matter, and I remember getting the news on the day, and I nearly collapsed. I just fainted because I couldn't believe it. He's done it, because I'd seen him a couple of weeks before that, and he seemed all right. He was laughing and joking. We shook hands and everything, and I gave him a cuddle, and it was good. I thought he'd be fine. He drove off in his car, and I thought that was the last time I saw him. And then you get this news, and it's like, wow, why didn't I see it? I didn't see it. And then that was it, really. He was gone.
What was your role in the aftermath? Did you grieve for yourself, or did you try to look after the younger brothers, or did you have to do both?
Well, I think I did it both. We all got together. We all sort of cried on one another's shoulders and try and comfort one another. But we knew that we have to get on with our lives. I had kids of my own, and I had to pay them attention and sort of get on with my life really.
You're a lovely family. Obviously, I've known Duke for a long time. He said when we had our chat that he'd felt suicidal before. And I think possibly in the aftermath of Dudley. Did you ever feel like that?
No, I never felt like that because my responsibilities kept my head focused. Having kids of my own, things like that, responsibilities. I had a responsibility to them. So no, I never ever felt like that. No.
And then while we're talking about mental health, obviously your son Leon, former Premiership footballer and professional fighter, he's had well-documented mental health issues that he's talked about. How hard is it as a dad when you know your son's struggling? I mean, my son's 14. I speak to him about mental health regularly because it's one of those things that, if you don't address them, we touched upon Dudley, something like that can happen and then it's too late. How hard is it when your son is openly going through it and there's not a great deal you can do apart from be there?
All I can do is be there, and that's right, and just show him as much love as I can. That's all. And talk to him, and just love him. That's all I can do really. And he confides in me at times, and that's how I listen to him, and that's it really. And then boxing has sort of done a lot for us as well. Sort of brought us close together. Because he felt some of my pain, and I can know what he's going through, and we sort of share that together,
Have you ever sparred Leon?
Oh yeah.
Have you?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, listen, when he was younger, I'll tell you a story. He was about 17, and I was sparring with him, and he had a bad day. He came up and he said, "Dad, I want to spar with you." I said, "You sure, son?" He said, "Yeah." So we grabbed up, put the gloves on, and he's put it on me. He's put it on me. He's like, "Really, give me some." Well, so you never forget it. You ask him if you interview him, right? And anyway, I beat him with a right hook.
Lead right hook.
A right hook. Yeah. Beautiful right hook. I called him a right hook, and I thought, yeah, he's dropped.
You put him over?
Yeah, I put him over. So I thought, yeah, that's it. But that was the last time I sparred with him. I never sparred with him again. That was it. Because I just knew that he was going big and strong, and it was his time.
So with Leon, he became a professional footballer. Not just a professional footballer, he was in the Premier League. That's the big thing. Like most people, certainly from working class backgrounds and so forth, once you've been a Premiership footballer, you've cracked life. What was it like when your son was playing in the Premier League? What do you think? How much pride do you have in that?
No, I'm very proud of him. Obviously, you can't describe it, but he was in a world of his own. Then, obviously, he's playing for the Premiership. He's got cars, got houses. He's living a life, isn't he?
Got houses for his cars.
Yeah, got houses for his cars. He's living a dream. He's got everything. I think, wow, it's amazing. Obviously he gets a bit carried away, and I think I could see this, and then I could say to him, "Yes, son, that you got to look after your money. Yeah, Dad, don't worry about it. It's all cool, yeah." But it's like everything else, it never lasts forever. Whatever you have, it comes down sooner or later. So, and yeah.
He moved into boxing, which, from the outside looking in, former Premiership footballer, now boxing, you'd think, why in the hell would you want to do that? Why transition? What was your thing about it? I remember obviously when a McKenzie turns pro, you think, wow, the name, the bloodline and all the rest of it. There's a bit of pressure on there for him to live up to the family name. Was it something that you wanted him to do?
Well, let's go back a bit. I mean, he always said to me, "Dad, when I finish football, I'm going to become a boxer." I used to laugh, say, "Yeah, all right, son." That happened, but it did happen for the right reasons. I mean, it happened at a time when he was very, very low in his life, when the things were not so good. So when he came to me and said he wanted to do boxing, I think Leon was looking for a way to find himself. He was looking for something to understand what was going on with his feelings. And I think boxing was the only way he could bring that out of him.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I think that was a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think,
when he said he wanted to turn pro, what did you think?
I said, yeah, okay. I said, yeah, we'll give it a shot. Because the reason I said that, because he was a professional sportsman, and he wasn't like, he'd been training all his life. He wasn't like, you know, he's been in the gym, he knows the shots, he knows the punches. The only thing is that he's never performed on stage.
Where it's just him.
Yeah, where it's just him as a boxer. So that was the only thing that he hadn't accomplished at the time. But, you know, he had played on a field where there's thousands of people. He'd mixed with the crowds. So he knew what that was like.
Was it different watching your son box to how it was watching a brother box?
It's more or less the same feeling, really. Yeah. But I had a bit more intensity with Leon because, you know, he was my son. I didn't want him to get hurt. But after I watched him a few times, I knew he had something going for him.
Did you enjoy his boxing journey?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I love to see him grit his teeth and fight back. I love that about him. I love to see that. Yeah, Dad, I want this. You know, I love to see that about him.
His last fight showed that, really, didn't it? Particularly the cello.
Oh, listen, I had flashbacks.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that was at York Hall, Bethnal Green.
That's right. Yeah,
that was a fight of the year contender where you'd had.
I had a
fight of the year.
Yeah, fight of the year. That was flashback time. I could see it all happening. You know, it was a great little fight. The only thing is, he was older and I was younger at the time. I think that was the difference. Had Leon been a little bit younger, I think he would have pulled it off that night. But it was his age that got it to him, you know. But what a fight, you know, just like I could see me in there. I could see the rounds. I could see everything. It was a great, great night. Although he lost, he learned a lot from that fight.
Were you more proud of him, or did you get a bigger kick out of seeing him scoring a goal in the Premier League or digging deep in a Masters title?
That's a good question. That's a really good question because I was like, he scored on his debut as a football, and that was fantastic. He scored on his debut. Couldn't believe it. You know, there was great. How many kids scored on their debut? He was great. And then the boxing was like great. You know, he was like, he had that fire in his belly and he wanted to win. He wanted to be a winner. That gave me a great feeling, the way he was so passionate about winning.
I suppose because you identify more with the boxing.
That's right, yeah, I could feel that more.
You probably felt a real connection.
Well, I did, yeah, because the connection of, you know, being in there and I've been there, it gave me that little bit more special feeling, yeah.
We'd mentioned George Francis earlier on in the conversation. George wound up taking his own life as well.
Did, yeah.
How did that impact you?
I was very...
Had you parted on good terms?
Yeah, we parted on good terms, yeah. I never had a bad word to say about George, you know. He was a good trainer and he trained me very well. But it's unfortunate what happened to him. I was very, very upset at the time to hear that happen. But he must have been in a lot of pain for him to do that.
You're of this old school mentality where, you know, we talked about how you responded to depression in terms of I was too busy to be depressed. I had stuff to do. That's an old school mentality. Is that from your dad? Is that hardship that he's put on?
That's from my dad.
I haven't got time for depression.
Absolutely, that's from my dad. He just, you know, he was a hard-working man, and you know, he worked every day of his life, and he was just very hard man, old school, and you know, nothing would stop him. He'd get in his way. He'd just keep working and doing his stuff.
How hard was it to lose your dad?
It was hard, in the sense that it was very, it was just very sad, you know. I thought he had a few more years to go, but he was ill, but he never let us know. He hid that. He hid his illness, and he didn't let us know he was in that pain, you know.
How hard was it for you to become the patriarch then, to actually officially become head of the family?
It wasn't hard because I've always been in the family.
you always had them
So
following
it
you.
wasn't a hard thing to do. But no, I remember my dad passing, and it wasn't very nice at all. It was a very sad moment. But I always live. I have the impression that one day we'll meet. So that sort of keeps me going anyway, because I know that one day I'm going to see him again.
So ultimately, who was the best brother? Fighting wise, not who was the best.
Oh, the fighting wise.
Fighting wise.
Okay.
Who was the best?
The best. I said it's a toss-up, isn't it?
Go on.
Well, on record, Duke's got to be the best, isn't he? A
Yes.
three-time world champion, so you can't do that. But I think Duke was the best boxer. If you want to look for boxing, he is very technically perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I asked him that question, and he literally wouldn't let me finish the answer or finish the question without him saying Dudley was the best in terms of potential. Is that fair? Or was that Duke because he loved Dudley so much that he would say that?
I think technically Duke was for boxing, he boxed perfect.
I mean, one of the great things about Duke was, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying, but he was a disaster zone when he started.
I know, yeah, he'd lose everything. He'd lose his own way. He couldn't find
he couldn't find his
He couldn't find his own way. He'd lose his way, he would, yeah.
How did you see the change in him? Because he lost 16 or 17 fights on spin.
Of course, yeah. I thought he lost everything. He had that smile and he'd lose.
What changed for him?
I think he just matured. He matured.
Well, literally, physically?
Physically, yeah. He physically matured and started believing in himself. And I think that progressed him, He believed in himself, yeah.
How much pride did you get watching him?
I used to love watching him.
Kid brother, three-weight world champ.
I used to love watching him. I used to love watching him because he was so precise and so neat, and never got into a fluster, and he always kept things under control. That's what I loved about him.
Did you get more nervous when the stakes were higher for the Canizares fighting different things? Were you like,
No, because I had this confidence in him, but because he could box, I knew he'd be all right. So I never really got that nervous. I always had that confidence in him that because he was such a good little boxer, he'll always be able to look after himself.
This has been a great journey. I mean, it was such a roller coaster, highs and lows. We've obviously finished on a few lows there, but what was the highest high? What's been the absolute pinnacle for you in terms of, top 3 or 4 moments in your life? What are the things that stand out?
Okay, I'll give you a moment, right? You remember the film The Champ?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, right. So listen, Lloyd Christie, I'm down at, I can't remember what it was. But anyway, I remember I'm in the dressing room. This is good, I'm in the dressing room, and I'm sitting there. I'm feeling a bit sorry for myself. I'm thinking, here I go again. I got to win this fight. I divorced my wife at the time, right? Well, she divorced me. But anyway, I'm sitting in the changing room, and guess who turns up? Leon. He's 7 years old. He turns up. My missus bring him down, and I wasn't expecting him. And he's giving me this lift. I feel, wow. I thought, great. This is just what I need. And I saw him, and then from when I saw him from that day, I knew I was going to win the fight. I couldn't let him down. I knew I was going to win. So I won the fight, and he jumps in the ring, and he kisses me like a kiss, and he holds me, and he cuddles me, and I'm kissing him. I say, we done it, son, we done it. Great, fantastic. And I remember that moment more than anything else because it was such a great comeback and such a great finish because he was there. He gave me the strength to win. I think he gave me the strength on that night to win that fight. I remember that.
As a divorced dad who's been through the system and all the rest of it, I can really relate to that in terms of, the chance, if you're not expecting to see your son and you see him and then the thrill you get from that. And obviously, perfect storm stuff there, catching him just before the fight.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Elation.
I'll never forget that moment because it was so special. And he just lifted me, I remember he was looking at me. I turned around and he was there. I just thought, wow, this is just what I need.
That's
And that
probably the most beautiful memory I've heard doing this now, about 130 podcasts deep. Because people talk about, I was there at the birth of my son, or I was there at the birth of my child and winning this title, but that is perfect.
Yeah, well, that was a moment of my life I'll never forget, because that power that he gave me was so powerful that I just could not lose that night.
I got this question from Norman Barton, who's a subscriber. I have a question for Clinton. He gets the chance to fight Sugar Ray Leonard again in the pros, 1981, 15 rounds. How did it go? 1981, 15 rounds.
With who? Colin
Sugar
Powell?
Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard?
You and him, 1981, 15 rounds. How would it have gone?
Oh, right. How would it have gone? I think I would have won on points.
Whitewash.
Well, yeah.
Where would you have wanted it? If you could have had a fight anywhere, where would you have wanted it? Was there? I mean, we talked about.
Whether I wanted
you've been
it,
everywhere. You went to Nigeria. You went Denmark.
That's
you
right.
went Italy.
I would have had it at Royal Albert Hall. That fight. If me and Sugar Ray 15 rounds.
That's brilliant. I mean, just in terms of that, there was another fight we haven't even talked about. You fought Mike Everett in Oslo.
Wow. Yeah. What a fight.
And he was Tyrone Everett's brother.
Listen.
And Mike was astounding.
Wow. Listen. Mike Everett was one of the most dangerous opponents I ever fought.
Sure.
What a good fighter.
Tough Philadelphia.
But listen, can I tell a story about that?
Please do.
I'll tell a story about that. Right, so listen. We'd gone for the weighing in, right? And I'm looking around for my opponent. I'm looking around, I'm thinking, what is Mike Everett? And I see this black guy, bald head, gold teeth, in a corner. And I've looked at him suspiciously, you know. I've looked at him like corner of my eye like that. And he's going, chewing going, ah. And this guy's big, you know, he's got muscles coming out his ear holes. And I'm going, George, where's this bloke one fighting? When's he turning up? And he said, he's here. I said, I can't see him.
Didn't want to see him.
I didn't want to see him. So I've looked, I said, well, where is he? He goes, over there. So I've looked over and I thought, nah, George, you're wrong. That guy's got to be at least 11 stone. There's no way he's my weight. Don't tell me that. So anyway, we've weighed in and he's my weight. I don't believe it. How can he make that weight? Oh, I was absolutely shitting myself. I'm not joking, right? But you know what? On that night, that was my best performance because I was that fucking scared.
Was it? Yeah, fear.
Yeah, fear. I was that scared, right? That was one of my.
Couldn't slip up.
That was my best performance. I wouldn't let him touch me.
And it was in Oslo.
It was
Wasn't
in Oslo, yeah.
How did that come about? You fighting a Philadelphia and in Norway.
Yeah, I don't know how that came about.
But that's boxing.
I remember boxing his ears off. He couldn't touch me. I wouldn't let him touch me.
Yeah, brilliant.
But great, yeah. So I won that. I think it was decision as well, but it was good fight.
Yeah, 10-round points. So
Yeah.
it was quite early on in the journey.
That's right. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Clinton, it's been absolutely remarkable. I've absolutely loved it. In fact, before we round up, actually, I did want to ask you about the keep fit thing as well. You know, the way we talked about it, you know, and you said obviously you'd be up for training a pro, and I've read before that you wanted to train a pro world champion, and that would have been a nice thing to tick off in a bucket list and that. But what you do here, it does enable people to change their lives. You know, you've taken, you know, I've seen case studies where people have lost loads of weight, and you would have seen their self-respect and discipline change. I mean, there's a lot to training people for boxing because you're training them really for life, aren't you?
That's right. I enjoy it because it brings out their character and also it makes them feel good, you know, and, you know, people lose weight, shape up without even knowing their shape, you know, without the pressure of like dieting and whatever, although, you know, some people do diet, but what I find is that they come to enjoy it. You know, they come to have a good time. It's, you know, and they learn a bit of boxing at the same time, which is great. And, you know, in the ring, on a pad, absolutely adore it, you know. And I put them through the moves because I think I'm in there with them. you know, with a champ, bobbing and weaving.
Yeah, well, that's a great thing. I was recently talking to Tony Jeffries, who was a 2008 Olympian, who's now doing well for himself by he's created like an online workshop for boxing, and he's a coach in a gym in the States where he has celebrity clients, and Robbie Williams and different people like that. And he's got a good career for himself. And it's not something we sniffed at. The fact that people can say, I trained with this guy who fought in the Olympics, was a former European champ. People want that kudos. They want to be able to say that this is what, you know, not just I train with a guy who's got a keep fit certificate. They want the real deal.
Yeah, real deal. No, I enjoy it because, as I say, it gets me to keep meeting people, keeps me in the public eye, and, you know, people talk about you. So it's great for that. You know.
And in terms of passion, we started talking about the amateurs at the start of the journey, but you actually were still involved in an amateur club.
Oh yeah, no, I've got an amateur club, which I have Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 5 o'clock when the amateurs come in, and you know, I thoroughly enjoy it. Sort of putting them through a routine, and they enjoy it. And you know, I've got some very competitive boxers that are coming through, so I'm looking to build that up, and you know, carry some boxers through that way, get a little team together.
And even though there's been some lows, the passion for the sport remains.
It does, absolutely. It's what we do, you know. The ladies have brought new dimension to boxing. You know, they also get involved with it now as well. And some of them pack a wicked punch, you know. So, yeah, bring it all on.
Nice one. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Clinton.
Cheers.